Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is you are joining us. This is the Tulsa World Scene podcast that we call Fred, frequently random, entertaining dialogues. I'm joined here by my friend and colleague, Jimmie Tramel, and we have with us today a guest whom I will let Mr. Tramel introduce.
We have a special guest. It's Marshall Moses, who used to play basketball for Oklahoma State University. I know Marshall from that time, and Marshall was always the guy you went to talk to before and after the games because you figured he was going to be honest and tell you the truth, and two, he was very well spoken. So he was at the top of the guys you want to talk to before or after a game. Now Marshall has moved on in his life. And he has SoulBody Cyphers in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Rather than me explain SoulBody Cyphers, Marshall, won't you please explain what that is?
I appreciate it, man. I really do, and I appreciate you for having me. I see you did your best right there. You did a good job, man. That's how you say it, SoulBody Cyphers, because what it is we use music and creative expression as well as entertainment, and we use it to build community, build artistry, and advocate for mental health, most importantly. When people bring up mental health as a broad umbrella, what we specifically do is aim to reduce the stigma around anyone dealing with anything mentally by putting it in our music and putting it in our expression. And we have events, we have live events that's also spun into peer support group that meets the first Sunday of every month, where we have counselors and sometimes guest speakers, people who conduct workshops and things like that for the public for free if they are part of the Cyphers. We just recently constructed a school program, and that's like the newest endeavor that I think is the coolest. And personal artist development is what we do. We're a nonprofit organization, 501c3, and that's what we do.
For someone who doesn't know, it's all music related.
It's music related. Music is why we have a buzz in the city. But we also create short films, and we'll be releasing one with Circle Cinema here pretty soon. I actually had a premiere with them a few weeks ago, and we do short films, and they also are based around mental health guidelines, even if it's PTSD. It may not always be a certain mental health condition that's diagnosed, but whatever it is, that's usually the center of it. But the music is what's got us notoriety.
Okay.
May I ask why the word ciphers? That word has a whole lot of meanings in a whole lot of different contexts. Everything from my father would use it to talk about arithmetic. And but then also I've read a lot of spy novels, and so there are codes. And then there's the idea of people who are called ciphers because they're unknowable. So I was just curious why choosing that particular word for this program.
I think that's a great question. And the reason why is I'm from the roots of hip hop. I don't know how acclimated you may be to that, but in the 70s, that's what they called it. It was a way to decipher or decode the life of the everyday person, the struggles and the pains that they was going through. They used it as how people would call mainstream society a matrix now, in a way, or metaphorically. The people who were a part of this and who would come together on the street corners and rap or break dance or even spray graffiti and do things like that, they were the people who were outside of the matrix. But also, as hip hop continued to evolve into a thing, Cypher became what you called all the creators who came together and expressed themselves however they did. And it was almost like an all-star game. They didn't just come rap or sing, they brought their best. And so that term has kind of been stuck with me from, just my roots and understanding of hip hop, to be honest.
Hey, we'll have more questions for you, but if people want to be a part of this, how do they find you?
Yes, you can find us online. We have a Facebook page, Instagram page. SoulBodyMeta.com is about to be back up at the end of this week, and we have the Cypher section in there. KavariParlor@gmail.com is the most efficient way. She's our assistant, and she also co-hosts with me for people who've been to the live events. That's KavariParlor@gmail.com, and you send her an email, your story, your music, anything like that, and I promise you she'll get back to every single one of you.
Okay, James and Marshall, I suppose we should have a little moment of silence. Tina Turner passed away today, man. I can't believe it.
I saw that she was one of those people you thought was going to live forever. I mean, she was such a force of nature and such an incredible talent, and such a story of survival herself, which fits in a lot to what you're trying to accomplish, Marshall, through SoulBody Cyphers, I believe.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a moment of silence would be fitting for the all-time legend.
Tina Turner, you're younger than James and I. That's no secret. Is Tina Turner
Everybody's younger than you and I, Jimmie.
Yeah.
Everybody
is Tina Turner somebody that's in your wheelhouse, Marshall?
In my wheelhouse?
Yeah, like you're aware of her accomplishments and that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
She's very prominent in like my mom and grandma, the music I would hear coming up and growing up. Tina Turner was definitely on that playlist, as they would call it now.
Can I ask what go on, Jimmie, you go first.
No, I'll come back. Go ahead, James.
Well, I was going to ask, most people who become involved in trying to help those with any kind of mental illness, and we know that that's a very broad term, covers a whole spectrum of things. Usually that comes from some personal relationship or experience. My late wife was a manic depressive agoraphobe, for starters. So I kind of, understand, again, from the outside, a small idea of what that is. Was there, or is there a personal reason for you wanting to offer the sort of help and the sort of outlet and healing that you want SoulBody Cyphers to achieve?
Absolutely. I would say the breaking or turning point or the inception of SoulBody Cyphers was during the COVID time. As Jimmie mentioned, I played at Oklahoma State and also had an extensive basketball career overseas. And I was in France at this time. I usually take my family with me, my wife and 3 kids. That's my wife's name at the bottom. My computer's broken because of one of my kids, so I'm on her Zoom, but that's my lifestyle, and that's like what I care about most. And during COVID, obviously, they couldn't travel. And I was going through some personal life issues as far as my parents, my mom, that they're in different stages in their lives and things that's new for me. I'm always away. Now I'm away from my wife and kids. And COVID was it was more strenuous than I gave it credit for going through it. And that was the last team I played for. I actually had the coach call me in the office, and he could tell I was not myself every day. I'm usually a vibrant guy, goofy, things like that. I was just down every day. I was doing my job, but I was down. And he said, "I'll be honest with you, Moses, you're a really good player. We love to have you." But he had just lost his wife a couple years ago before that. And he said, "I can tell that you're not okay. And we can't guarantee you that we'll get your family here." They kept promising, maybe in 5 weeks, maybe in 6 weeks, but it was contingent upon the circumstances. Nobody knew what was going on. And so he said, "I can't promise you that at the end of this 6 weeks, they're going to get to come over. They may not come all year. Can you handle that?" And I didn't think I could. And I felt the way about saying that, which now I realize I was just done. I wasn't the same young guy I was, and I cared about different things in life. To be the level of player that I wanted to be required way more maintenance and working. It was a different time in life, and I didn't want to accept that, but I did. And when I came back home, all I could find myself doing was like I was a kid again and making music and writing songs. And that's not what people would suggest you do in a transitional time period. I know I'm rambling. I'll get to stop it now, but so I started throwing these ciphers, and before it was a way of me to express and to meet other creatives, and it kind of continued to grow into this. And so I had to pick a side. When you do something hip hop or rap related, what are you going to be? And so I picked the side of advocacy than hip hop artists.
Marshall was a big music fan, obviously, by the time he even got to Oklahoma State from the East Coast. But Marshall, who were kind of the Mount Rushmore of music figures who made you love music?
Ooh, that's a great question. First on that list, I would have to say one is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is first on that list. Then we have to get to some rap artists because that was my thing. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z and Tupac. Jay-Z, Tupac, Eminem, Method Man were instrumental in coming up to make me say, I want to try to do this. Eminem with the lyricism and multi-syllable rhyming words. I could not try that after hearing him do that. Jay-Z with the the inspirational kind of cool. Everything he did was cool, and he was always succeeding in some way. Made you inspired as a young Black kid, and maybe in a minority environment where it's like, man, maybe I could be rich and successful one day and sound cool like that. He also didn't get famous as an artist until he was 28, which is very uncommon in the music industry. So he's been, you know, I would say those two, Eminem and Jay-Z.
Hey,
All right.
the reason that Marshall, as I mentioned, is from the East Coast. The reason he stayed in Oklahoma is because his wife is from the area. But because you're from the area, and I guess maybe still, I don't know how long you've been in Oklahoma as a, post basketball, but everybody always wants to know, like, hey, what secret food places have you found in this new place that you live? Where's your go-to food places for Marshall Moses?
Okay, I'm going to tell you one I know off top, and I'm looking right now because there's a Mexican restaurant that me and my wife go to once a week. So I know it's in my Google Maps. I'm getting that now.
Okay.
LaRue's Kitchen, or really Mother Road Market in general, but that is a specific Cajun food restaurant that's inside of Mother Road Market, which I go eat at frequently. I don't know if this one is secret, but of course the In the Raw sushi, I think is big time. But the best place to me is El Rio Verde. Verde restaurant. Man, good prices, good portions of amazing Mexican. I love it.
It's the one right off the highway by the Outsider's house, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Okay. Now, I believe Jimmie said you're originally from South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
That is a very strong barbecue place, but a very different style of barbecue. Do you find have you had to make your peace with Oklahoma style barbecue, or are you able to find the kind of barbecue you grew up with here?
Well, luckily Oklahoma has their own places with good barbecue and stuff like that. So, but South Carolina is notorious for it, and it is bomb. I would say South Carolina and North Carolina have different flavors of barbecue, and both are kind of nationwide famous. So. Oklahoma's a good transition, though. Great food, great barbecue.
Okay, all right. Well, go on, Jimmie.
Post playing, obviously, when you are playing, you burn a lot of calories. Post playing, have you found like I need to watch what I eat more, or it's just, hey man, I got a good metabolism, I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat?
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been on at this moment is dieting. I've been eating salads. There'll be salmon salads or something like that. I try to get some protein in there, but it'll be a salad, soup. Me and my wife were talking. She's gonna make some soup tonight. So I can't eat how I used to eat, and I've already been a big guy anyway, and so I've got habits to eat a lot. And so I've been trying to change those, but I realize that I'm never going to be back to playing weight or something like that. So I'm just going to be my new self, and I'm proud with that. I'm good with that, but I'm not the same size as I was 10 years ago for sure.
Hey, James, one of the big perks about covering sports is you go to these different towns and you eat a lot of different places. Mm-hmm. Marshall, where's the best place you ate on the road in the Big 12?
It's the steakhouse in Lubbock, Texas.
Kegel's.
Yes.
I agree. Kegel's Steakhouse in Lubbock is awesome.
Amazing. I couldn't believe it. It was out in the middle of nowhere, and we had to drive far from where our hotel was. And I was wondering, like, why are we driving 45 minutes? And as soon as we got there, I understood why.
Yeah, it looks like something at a Bonanza, like this little ranch house.
Yeah.
And the prairie. If you're ever there, James, I'd recommend that. But
I don't have any plans to go to Lubbock anytime soon, but I'll keep that in mind.
Hey, I'm going to get us back to music a little bit, Marshall. You said you've met with maybe City of Tulsa or worked with OSU, and you're trying to get some events going. You want to update me on this?
Yeah, well, Leadership Council is a class at Oklahoma State University. I didn't know this until after we worked with them, but apparently you have to be accepted into this class. I guess these are stellar students at Oklahoma State. But we got to go perform for them. We got to go perform hip opera. Shout out to the lady Tammy, who was my connect. She's an excellent person who helps me a lot. And they asked us back. She asked us back in the fall, and want us to build that program and things like that. So much so that we constructed a school program for high school students around it. But also, you asked about something else that I wanted to, not OSU, but what else?
City of Tulsa.
City of Tulsa, yes. The city councilman came to one of our live events, and Grant Miller. Shout out Grant Miller. And he's been a great guy. He's been helping me ever since. I recently met Krista, who is also the chair of the city council, I believe, and they like what I got going on. And so when I meet with them, they want me to be an asset to the city of Tulsa in what it is that I do, or really I want to be that, and they're helping me, but really also helping me get the right credentials and the right things in order, and not just have these events and do it in a certain way. Let me know how it goes and how we can be, you know, beneficial to each other in the future. Right now, I got some more building to do. So they've been helping me a lot. It's been a great relationship.
James, you want to get into what we've got coming up this week, or you have another question for Marshall?
Well, let me see. I don't think I do. I appreciate you taking the time and sharing your what you're doing, and we both wish you the best of it, and keep us informed so we can help keep other people informed about what you're doing. Speaking of informed, we'll have a story about the Lion King comes back to Tulsa June 1st for a 3-week run. I'll be talking with the associate director, who not only oversees the tour, but oversees all 8 worldwide productions of The Lion King, with a 9th about to start in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And he talks about, you know, what it takes to keep a 25-year-old show that's been, you know, playing every night for 25 years somewhere in the world, keeping it fresh for both audiences and performers and himself. So what have you got coming up, Jimmie?
Well,
he's disappeared. There we go.
People who only hear the audio and don't watch the video aren't going to be able to see this, but I'm holding up a book that says 100 years of Warner Brothers, 100 years of storytelling. Warner Brothers turned 100 this year. And one of the biggest stars in Warner Brothers' early history was someone who was from Oklahoma, an actress. She was the highest paid actress for Warner Brothers in the 30s, their biggest star. And her only wish was that she be forgotten. I mean, go figure. A famous actress who just wanted to be forgotten. And unfortunately, I'm not giving her her wish. I'm going to write about her on Friday. So there you go.
Well, she's obviously not Greta Garbo, because she wasn't from Oklahoma. But anyway, but she also wanted to be left alone. Well, I think that will wrap us up for this particular edition of the Tulsa World Scene podcast. Remember that you can find the Tulsa World at fine newsstands and convenience stores everywhere, and online at tulsaworld.com. Again, a big thanks to Marshall Moses, and also to your wife for loaning you her computer so you can take part with this. And we will wish you all a pleasant good day.
Thank you, Marshall. Goodbye.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you.